Hello, this is Winston Cunningham, and it is March the 3rd in 2025. And I'm thinking this morning about preparing to receive. That is my job. That's pretty much my total job, because as I learned at the School of Metaphysics about the process of creation, when I say I want, it starts coming to me. And so my job is to get busy preparing myself to receive. This is the creative process. And I can remember hearing when I was a kid that be careful what you wish for. And, you know, a wish is a weak thought, as it's described at the school. A person needs to be more definite, be clear, and even in the advanced lessons I got, the steps creation and so forth, and the advanced series at the school, it was pointed out that the work comes in making the picture clear, because to the extent that your picture is clear, you get some surprises if it's not clear. But I've had many surprises. You know, I got what I wanted. I just was not clear enough about what I wanted. So the more details you can put in, the closer you get to getting what you really want. Or there may be ingredients to the upcoming and outpouring picture that are filled in without your knowledge if you're not paying close attention. So this has a lot to do with my current level of learning, is learning to be more clear. And I teach this to people all the time that I'm talking to, and people I'm trying to help, is to be very clear about what you want. And then, once you say I want, get busy preparing yourself to receive. And I've been caught with my pants down a lot of times just because I was thinking about what I wanted, but I was not preparing myself to receive it. So it is in the preparation, that's where the work comes in. People are amusing until they reach the adulthood of spirituality. They're usually operating off of just prayer, which I've come to understand as begging, because they think if they don't get exactly what they wanted, that somehow God wanted something else for them. But still, they're cutting themselves out of the picture and don't know that they are relevant to anything. And so that's spiritual adolescence, holding that kind of expectations. Does it make sense to you or anyone that we would have free will, but somebody else is in control? Makes absolutely no sense. But most of the planet operates at that level. And I was talking to a friend yesterday. He's from Kurdistan, part of the Middle East. And where I grew up Baptist, he grew up Islam, but he went through something similar that I did. He said he began to question he began to pay attention and think what he was hearing and what he was seeing in reality was not matching up. And that's what happened to me. There was also my experience growing up in the Baptist church. Things didn't fit together. People were saying one thing, and what was actually being done was something else. So I find it interesting, and what I've been able to understand by talking with people from different countries, and at the YMCA I'll go to, there's people from all over the place there, and I like that. But in just talking and listening to the way that they relate to their religion and culture, that I've come to understand that it's the culture that produces the religion. It is not the religion that produces the culture. And so my friend and I were in agreement yesterday when we were talking about this. We were in the pool and just having a conversation. And I had pointed out, and he said it first, but or maybe I did, that the same misunderstandings that were present in the Baptist religion, where I grew up, were the same ones that he grew up with in Islam. It's just the only difference is the culture. And this brings me to the School of Metaphysics and learning, and I was just explaining to him because he asked me, I made reference to language of mind. I said all of the scriptures, whether it's the Bible or the Quran and everything, were written in language of mind. And so to even attempt to understand it on just a physical level does not work. It leaves too many things misunderstood. And as I've come fast forward where I am now and where I have been for a long time, is that what I can prove through my experience, what I can understand through my own experience, that's more real than anything else. So I was explaining the language of mind, and I gave him some, I just pointed to the pool. We were sitting in the sauna, and I could see the edge of the swimming pool right through the glass doorway there. And I asked him if he'd seen those little circles with the line through it at the edge of the pool with maybe a picture of somebody diving. He said, yeah. I said, well, no matter what language a person speaks, they understand that picture. And I said, this is the language of mind, the picture language. And as it was reiterated on the Dreamers webinar, that comes on a Wednesday night at the school, branch school of Palatine, dream webinar, dreamschool.org will get you there, or you can go to som.org and find it. But as the fellow pointed out, explaining dreams to a new person that was tuned into the weekly program, but he said we communicate in words consciously, but the subconscious mind, the soul, communicates in pictures. And this is the same language that the Bible or any spiritual work was written in, any of the major spiritual works. And it's interesting, if you want to go to som.org, look at the book list, and you'll see that Daniel Condren has gone to the trouble of interpreting and explaining different spiritual works in language of mind. that's something worth seeing. And of course, I suggest the book to begin with. There are several books, but the one I use regular is Universal Language of Mind, Matthew Interpreted. But also, if somebody hadn't been exposed to language of mind or dreams, they might just go ahead and get the book that with several authors in it, because there were 4 books published, all by the School of Metaphysics, and they were later combined into one book, and this book is called The Bible in Dream Symbols, and it has Jerry Rothermel's interpretation of Genesis, and it has the first book Dan Condren said he wrote was the most beautiful book in the world, and it's about the relationship between the conscious and subconscious mind in the Song of Solomon. And then Barbara Condren did a treatise on the Revelation. And then there's Dr. Gail Mathis, who was there when I was there. She wrote the book, The Search for the Kingdom of Heaven. And I read that as a student, and I knew her. And it was always good to see these people. She was present at a lot of the teachers' meetings that I was at, and it's always, the doctors amuse me because they'll just watch and observe, and then before the meeting is over, they'll deliver a bombshell or a one-liner that really gets everybody's attention. So they put a lot of stuff and packed it into one picture that they deliver, and this kind of serves as a stimulus for people to reach, to have that. And that's why I suggest that people, that especially students at the School of Metaphysics, when they get, anytime they get a chance to spend time with a doctor, it would benefit them. There's always something you're gonna learn there. But back to what I'm talking about, the preparing myself to receive, and I'm in the midst of stretching myself to prepare in new ways. And we can easily lull ourselves to sleep in an habitual behavior. And so what I'm preparing for now, or what I was prepared for before, is not sufficient preparation for what's coming up now. So always got to be stepping up a little. So the job is preparing yourself to receive, no matter what level you're, whether you're on the beginning level or close to the end level. I don't know what that's like, but because I'm a couple of days away from that. But it's just I've come to really respect and honor the principles involved in all of this. And as Henry David Thoreau said, if you're acquainted with the principle, what do you care about a myriad of instances and applications? So if you're acquainted with the principle, you can apply it to whatever situation that you're in. And so it's I love the principles. And as long as I understand the principle, then I can apply it to whatever I'm doing now. And since I've had some experience applying things and working things out, then I'm getting better at doing that. Just because I'm better doesn't mean that I can quit. It still has to be done. Because the I mean, 2 chickens, one on each side of the road, one hollered to the other and said, "How do I get to the other side?" And the other one said, "You are on the other side." Things like that amuse me. I like the oddities and the humor. I think humor helps a little bit. I'm always telling people I think they're okay. I don't care what the mama said. Preparing myself to receive. And I'm talking about this morning as a reminder that what I've got coming up and what I'm wanting to produce, I need to prepare for it. And so that's what I'm doing. Now this is a short talk, but just wanted to talk a little bit about the need to prepare yourself to receive, and what I'm going through and what I'm working through now is the same as anybody works through to get what they want. It's not rocket science, but it does require some discipline and some doing. And I'm learning about doing. And I've been involved in discipline for a long time, and I still need to use it, because there's some principles involved in discipline that work, and I've got to remember what works. Anyway, I'm Winston Cunningham, and thank you for listening. Have a good day.